sometimes later. But what is more important today, people like nagaRAJU taking extraordinary interest in putting people together all over the country. I am seeing some of the past district governors, Vijay Kumar Shetty, Anil, everybody are there inside. So I'm unable to speak in full Telugu also, because it is people participating in various other places from country. So we are unable, we are left with no other alternate except to speak in English. Okay, anyway, when I see the code of ethics, when we speak about leadership, the code of ethics, just now what you have read provokes me to speak about the leadership available not only in our country, first of all. I am talking about the leadership available outside Lionism. If the people who follow this code of ethics itself will put India on top of the world immediately, within no time, a year or 6 months or 3 months, if the code of ethics is followed by the politicians I am talking about, if they practice that, I am sure India will be par excellence and India will be number one in the whole world, because such potential people we have, such an effort we have, such a knowledge we have, such a wonderful country we are. 800 years back, we were the number one in the whole world. And we went to the extent of calling ourselves as poor country, declaring that we are developing country, declaring that we are unable to achieve anything. All these things are, disturbing my mind. Having been seen this politics right from 1967 when I was in schools, I used to watch this. What kind of leadership we have outside our home? What kind of leadership we have within ourselves? What kind of leadership we have in our organization? Let us think about that and try to analyze ourselves and try to correct it if possible, wherever we are possible, or try to practice this in the future. Number one, within Lionism, let us speak about, before we go for Lionism, let us speak about our leadership at home. In the past, in my experience, when we were children, we had a long time to be available with our children at home, tell them about our family, tell them about our difficulties we had in coming through, speaking about the nobility of the country and the history of the country. Sometimes most of us have become historians in talking to our children. Any functions at our home, anything which we come across, we used to teach our children the right thing to follow and right suggestions to be adopted in their life. But now, the situations are warranting that the parents or the elderly people available at home are unable to spend any time with the children, and the children are also unable to be with us because of their pressing engagement. Number one, the circumstances which they follow in outside, and some of the attractions which they follow it as if it is their way of life. People are being diverted in very many ways. Number one, in the movies, and number two, the gadgets. Both the things diverting our children, taking them to a new direction, which is not accepted by any of the leadership in most of the cases. The gadgets are, see, now the corona, the COVID has given us the extraordinary instrument called the Zoom, which we are practicing. Otherwise, we would not have had this type of experience of putting people together in the Zoom and talking from all over the world. It's one of the experience we have in a disaster where we had the COVID was troubling us. We did not know what to do. Our conventions were cancelled. Our leadership were unable to do how to take it forward. That time the Zoom came. Some of the platforms have come to take us, put us together, talking to the various people, talking about various, communicate various things which is available, and also conduct meetings also like this. So I wouldn't say the total atmosphere is very bad, but how we take it is most important. Are we educating our children, putting them together right from the childhood to follow these things which are needed? I don't think in 60% to 80%, we don't have time, they don't have time. And we also feel that that is not important of talking about the history of our country, history of our family. That is one side. Second, in the society, what happens in the society? We have seen leadership, highly integrated, highly credible leadership. People are, concerned with the social concern they had, the national concern they had. People who were interested in people's interest. The leadership was interested in the people's interest, be it development of the people, be it development of the country, be it putting the country as the number one in their way of life. But now everybody have become selfish. They want to earn money. They want to take away public money for their personal interest. In those days, what I have seen when I was in schools, usually politicians, they used to bring their money from the home and spend for the people and the politics. But now people take money from the politics, people take money from the government, people take our own taxes, what we pay. These things are happening, which is heartening nowadays. The success means what I have seen nowadays, when someone goes for hunger strike, immediately a news will come in the evening, the strike is success. What is it? 500 people joined, 1,000 people joined, the strike becomes success. They don't achieve anything by that, but they declare that hunger strike is a success one. What is success? Whatever points you put forth, the government should accept, you should negotiate, you should achieve it. That is called a success. But now putting the crowd in front is success. If you have 1,000 people with you is success. Like our organization, we evaluate always the membership, the activities, what we have achieved. That's why I feel great of our organization. The government or the political leaders available, they do not evaluate what they have done. 5 years back, when they took charge, what was the condition of the state or a country? After 5 years of their ruling, what they have contributed, to which level they have taken the country or a state, they don't evaluate. But when we go through the statistics, it only says that every year they increase the loan, IMF loan, and every state is becoming corrupt, bankrupt. And at one stage, we may not be in a position to draw money for the salary of the people who are working for the government. This is the situation. The atmosphere is heartening, becoming bad to worst, and I fear that there may be a people strike, people momentum, which will bring in a revolution. Like we have had a French Revolution, China Revolution, even India, we had some labor revolution like that. It might become and trouble the people. Coming to Lionism, the leadership at home, the leadership at the public level are the replica of Lionism. Lions do not get leaders from the heaven to change the whole thing in a day. You have seen in the past about 30, 40 years, people who are identified as the best people in the society are being brought to the association. Now people join in this association to become to show others that they are the best people by putting the logo. When I say I am a Lion member, I feel proud. People should respect. People will respect. So I join in this movement. That has become the order of the day. Leadership means membership, fellowship, and leadership. They do not evaluate the contribution, the commitment, the amount of sacrifice. They don't recognize. Now people, the moment they join, if they have money, they want to spend for fellowship and pay money for the subscription and other things, spoiling the association. I am totally against all these kind of things. I have not done in my life. So when I speak something, if I don't practice, I don't speak. That is my way of life. If I have done something wrong, I will accept it on the stage that I have done. But in the present situation, I am seeing people who do not pay the subscription are being inducted into the association. Somebody pays the subscription for the election purpose. The election alone has become the criteria. But in spite of that, people, when we join together, we are seeing people eat like rotten. No discipline, no dignity. But apart from that, when we see, I think our contribution makes a little change in somebody's life, that's where we people like us get satisfaction. At least we are not politicians like taking whole money for their purpose. If you come to our Tamil Nadu, you will find the politicians have tons of money. If you take the money from them, we can run the government for years together. I have seen people penniless becoming multi-crore padis overnight. The moment they take charge of the position, within 2 months' time, they will become hundreds of crores, 2,000 crores, 5,000 crores, 30,000 crores. I am afraid. I feel ashamed. I am not belonging to any party, ashamed of going for the election and voting also, though it is our responsibility to vote. How to find out the good persons? The good persons are being called as innocent fellows. He is papam. He is innocent man. He do not know how to earn money. The man who earns money is being called as a good man. He is what do you call? They say he is a very clever man. So he has earned money and kept it for himself and for the 100 years of their heirs. Their sons are becoming lazy. Sons are becoming characterless. And there is no set of any example to be quoted. Nobody can be called as a role model leaders. But of course, in our association, we have many role model leaders. But only the thing is, we must change our leadership functioning system. We must go back to our children and speak about our contribution to the society. What we do as Lions. The success and planning means, and the leadership, we must go back and bring our children to the movement. Now I am seeing most of the children are running away from us. No, my dad is involving. He's coming with boost mood in the night. And there is a fight in our home. He is restless. So we do not want to come to Lions Club. That is the status today. Our children or our heirs are saying. Now, as the responsible citizens, having understood the leadership, and we are the people who are giving happiness to the less fortunate, we must be in a position to change ourselves, speak to our children, take few minutes and talk to our relatives, whoever come to our home. What we are doing as Lions, put our emblems in a conspicuous place where people from outside, when they come to our home, they must know that we are from Lions Club. And they should be in a position to ask us, what do you do in Lions? You must have some magazines at home, keep some memories at home, so that you will be in a position to talk to them. Put your name as a Lion so-and-so from Lions Club of so-and-so in your personal invitations, marriage invitations, your son's marriage invitations. Anything happens, call your Lions Club people to stand there and to invite your own relatives so that they will come to know what kind of association we belong to. So this is how the leadership have to change. It was those years we used to witness. We put the banner, Lions Club of so-and-so welcomes you in our personal functions. Now that is gone. Even we had the experience when somebody passes away, we used to put the Lions banner on top of them, on their body, and remove it when they are getting buried. We don't do that nowadays. There is no such kind of actions from our side. How we will grow? In the past 2002, KK Fukushima brought the system called Impact Team. That Impact Team, forget about the whole world, South India, from the Impact Team 2002 to 2010, we have given 100,000 growth to the whole world, South India. Now, which is 5 multiple. What happens now? The 1.5 million growth, it was coined by the great man from Japan, Murakami. When we were 1.4, he coined the word 1.5, 1982. 42 years now, we are unable to reach that. Still we are staying in the same membership. Why? What happened? There is no realization. There is no evaluation. There is no 100% commitment to the association. There is no thinking about the progress of the association. We are becoming old, and the association becoming old. The young people are not coming and joining with us. The parity between the age parity between the elder people and the younger people has not been given a thought to put them in a different group. So our club will not have accept the sons and daughters and grandsons and granddaughters. We must think for an idea. where we must start a new generation club, our own succession planning, children coming into this association, throw away this nonsense of sponsoring members without giving them money. No poor fellow can be a line member. Let us not grow, forget about it, but grow with dignity. We must identify. In those days, even nagaRAJU knows, he used to speak about how to go and get the members, go to their family, go to their business place, sit with them, talk to them, identify their respectfulness, and then bring them. Now, no, over the phone, hey, you come to the membership, we are adding you 24 hours. 10 clubs are started by 24 hours. I have seen in one district. How it is possible? I think the time has come. We must re-evaluate the total leadership and our commitment. And we must feel, if at all we say that we feel proud of being Lions, this is the time for a rejuvenation. Rejuvenate the organization. Bring in new blood, new ideas and new thoughts. We have a lot of children with extraordinary ideas. I was invited to one of the Rotary district conferences as a chief guest. I went there. The program was wonderful. I asked them, who is the man who designed the program? Come and show me. This program seems to be extraordinary, interesting, wonderful. They brought 4 children. Believe me, those children are sons of lions. Those children are the sons of lions, and we are not using them. Somebody is using our potential. Is it right? That time has come, my dear gentlemen, who are listening to this conversation of mine. Please put our children have extraordinary thoughts than us. They have extraordinary efforts than us. They have extraordinary ideas than us. The new dimensions, the paradigm shift must happen at this point of time. If I have made any wrong comments, please pardon me, but I breathe Lionism. I want this organization to grow with all spheres, with the efforts of our children, with the efforts of ours, and people must respect us for our actions. That's why Lions Clubs International has thought the time has come that we must have a service activity, service team, and evaluation team, and putting together to show to the world what is the commitment of Lions, how much we have done, how many people are happy because of our service. That's how Lionism will put ourselves into the front of international, because we are the only persons recognized by UN. We have a moral responsibility of making the whole world happy. But what is more important, make our own happy first, by your actions, by your thoughts. Let me finish my speech by this. I do not want to take much of your time. I must also move to the other next meeting, which they are waiting for me. Already Sampath has called me when I was in the Zoom. So let me say goodbye. Wish you all the best. The new year will bring a glory. The new year will bring a new thoughts, new ideas, new blood to go our organization to the next level. I must congratulate nagaRAJU for the excellent work. He is a professor. He knows to speak to the people because he is a citizen maker, the generation maker. I must congratulate nagaRAJU taking this effort. Continue forever, not for 1 year only. Continue forever. You may design in a different way also, but I only wish you to continue for the betterment of the other people, for the knowledge to be given to most of the people. Forget about the crowd coming or not. Even 10 people comes, you are sending a message for the 10 people. I only wish that you continue and God give you wealth, health, and cheerful life, and work for the association, take this program to the next level. I wish every one of you who are listening all the very best in the new year, and hopefully we will meet somewhere to exchange our views and ideas and feel happy at all times to give happiness to others. God bless you.
That's the power of KGR. Thank you very much, KGR, for that very powerful message. You are one of the very few leaders who have the guts to call a spade and then to speak very forthright. So you have very appropriately linked, thrown light on what's happening around both in Lionism and outside, and made very, very valid points. I think all of us must open our eyes to what KGR had said, and then we must try to rejuvenate ourselves and then work to elevate ourselves to a higher level from where we can serve our communities better. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
KGR. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. We are
Thank
very
you.
happy that you've given us time despite your
Thank you.
commitment. Thank you.
Bye-bye to everybody. Bye-bye.
Without taking much time, now I would like to just tell you that Manoj Purohit ji is a past district governor from 320A, which is a sister district in my multiple district 320. He is a chartered accountant by profession. Instead of introducing him, taking time to introduce him, I would like to give the entire time to him because we have some 4 or 5 minutes behind. So Purohit ji, it's your time now. He is going to talk to us about storytelling, which can be used as a powerful tool by all the trainers at all levels. Manoj, you can show your slideshow. You can share the screen.
Okay, thank you, nagaRAJU.
While Manoj is sharing the screen, I would like to repeat the suggestion that I made. In case you add your membership number to your name on the screen, I'll report you to the Learn portal. Yeah, go ahead.
Is the screen visible?
Yes, yes. Please go to full screen and then the slideshow mode.
Yeah. So thank you very much for this opportunity. And it's really a pleasure to be talking to our friends on this wonderful subject, storytelling skills. Well, friends, we will just try to learn about stories, how effective as a tool they are for trainers, for the evaluation of storytelling, how important is it to set a narration, then forms and tools of storytelling, and we will also understand whether stories have impacted our behavior and our growth. We'll also go through the scientific studies which established few facts on human brain when a story is being told, and the elements and stages of writing a story or telling a story. So these are the session objectives we have. Can we start with a simple question? What are the most effective styles and tools used in effective presentations, speeches? You can use the chat box to answer this question. I hope it's clear. Most effective styles we use in effective presentations. There may be many. Can nagaRAJU just read them?
We have received an answer from Ram Manohar. He says visual. I also responded to that question: songs, stories, body language, etc. And Mallikarjunji says stories and live examples. And Thomas Ayya says models. And Jai Amol Naik says storytelling is a powerful tool. And Vijaya Lakshmi says props can be used to make presentations interesting. And keeping suspense is Prakash Rao's response. And statistics, Anand Iyer's input. And Midban says narratives. And Guru Raj Bahadur says opening statement is very important. Ramesh Babu says eye contact is very, very important. Aditya says Sher Shairi makes things interesting. Advocate Anil Kumar talks about quotes. And quite a lot of others, Vasudha Rani and others have said stories, activities, examples, etc. And live examples, Devendra Bhandari's answer. Quotations against Varnalata, proverbs from Krishna Rao Dara. And Vasudha Rani also says activities, visuals, live examples. I think they are repeating. These are some of the,
Yeah, definitely Shero Shairi or jokes or startling statistics or something like storytelling are the powerful tools which every presenter or a speaker would like to use. What is storytelling? Let us understand what story. Storytelling, as they say, is an art. It's like, something which we have to build step by step. It requires creativity. Basically, all types of arts require basically a lot of creativity and skill, also a vision, and then practice, because every art needs practice, and as practice we grow. So storytelling is basically, we will be using words to create new words and experience in a reader's or listener's mind. We will create a world by our own words. And that's how a story transmits. In fact, we'll be putting the mind and the heart together once we adopt to a storytelling module. Storytelling does impact human emotions, and it can also lead to acceptance of original ideas which were never heard, and people would be easily able to grasp uh, original ideas when you have a story to tell rather than giving statistical jargon. So let's see how it affects our brain. It's a natural coupling. So once a person starts telling a story, the other person's mind, they start getting on the same wavelength. It's called coupling. They become like a mirror to each other. And once that happens, the brain releases something called dopamine. And what is dopamine? It's a feel-good factor. It changes your mood and make difficult things easy to remember and easy to grasp and with greater accuracy. And once that happens, we move into the next step where the two sides of the brain get activated. There are very few occasions when two sides of the brain are active together, and many other areas also get involved. So it works in a definitely in a bigger fashion. Now, what's the power of a good storytelling? It gets people emotionally connected. It's a powerful tool to transmit a message, knowledge, or a meaning. It's also to focus people's attention, make them involved and engaged. If you tell a drab statistical information or something which is totally preaching, people may get, annoyed. But if you tell the same thing in form of a story, it works. It motivates and inspires. It also stimulates your imagination. And that's how the storytelling. Now, we have been using these many words once upon a time, not so long ago, one fine day. All these sentences have always created a curiosity among ourselves. When we heard our stories from our parents or grandmothers, or if we are trying to tell our stories with our grandchildren or our children, suddenly, all of a sudden, now this creates a curiosity of what will happen. Eventually, okay, so he comes to know that, okay, something is getting at a final stage, finally, at last, and the moral of the story. This is how we prepare the gist of the story and then convey our meaning. The next thing we knew, or we couldn't believe our eyes, the moment we say, the person gets, okay, what's next? And that's how things, gets very interesting and the person gets involved. So story is something which will link the listener to the teller. It has been for hundreds of years or thousands of years, we have been learning through stories. So if a drab documentary or something which is very statistical, or a PowerPoint presentation which has got so many words, and then the person keeps on reading, the people will feel sleepy. The moment you turn the tide to a story, people will really get interested and they will be happily and grasping it. So let's have another quick question and answer session. Can you name your favorite storyteller or story writer, and also why you feel that he is your favorite? Any favorite storyteller, writer, author, and why do you like him? The reason of your liking him. nagaRAJU garu, do we have answers? Do we have answers, nagaRAJU garu?
I'm reading them. Agatha Christie is Anand Iyer's
Okay.
choice. My choice is R.K. Narayan and Somerset Maugham. And again, Agatha Christie from Neha Bhandarkar. And my mother, Jaya Mohan's answer. And then Lakshman for cartoons, that is P.K. Shah's answer. And Ramesh Babu says this is an interesting presentation. And Khushwant Singh is Dr. Mahendra Reddy's choice. VP Kale from Maharashtra is Shekhar Kovali's choice. And Telugu stories, Krishna Chaitanya is the storyteller, is Lakshmendra's answer. And Devendra Bhandari says Bapu, the artist, is his favorite.
Mhm.
And Vinit Srivastav says Vinod Khanna PID because of his presentation and narration.
Okay.
And so he has chosen a lion leader as his
Mhm.
storyteller. Thomasaya Chandamama Kathalu is his
Aha.
H.N. Singh says Anand Mehta is a good storyteller.
Okay.
And Mallika Arjun says Yandamuri Veeranath for his practical, successful ideas.
Mhm.
Rajan Sundaram says his grandma was a storyteller.
Okay.
Srinivas Gunta says both his mom and his uncle both were good storytellers.
Mhm.
Dale Carnegie is N.M. Hegde's choice.
Mhm.
And Sidney Sheldon is Misban's choice because she gives a reason. Sidney Sheldon, because the books take you on a roller coaster of emotions. Wonderful.
Aha.
Vasudha Rani says R.K. Lakshman. He throws his
Mhm.
cards. And Chinnaya Suri, Paravasta Chinnaya Suri is Ramakrishna Chilukuru's answer. So there are quite a lot of other answers as well.
Yes. So we have favorites, and we know why they are favorites, because they excel in some form or the other, and they were able to create a space in our heart, in our mind. They were able to inspire us. They were able to give some insight into lives or life forward. So that is how we should be able to do. Now, history of rendering the stories. If we go back, we have thousands of years of history of telling stories, and it started right from the ages of Stone Ages, and uh, like the paintings on the wall, or when the color himself was not came into picture, the stone to stone carving was done. And we also have some really interesting way of telling of stories. Say, for example, Vedavyasa, we all believe that he wrote 18 Puranas. And the same story in Shiv Purana or Vishnu Purana or Shakti Purana, if it is repeated, and it throws an entirely different light. The central character changes. And we know that it's the same story, but then the way it is told is quite different. For example, if you take Ramayana, there was one author who took up the character not of Rama, Ravana, Sugriva, or Hanuman, anyone. He took up a very small character which hardly had any reference, only a passing reference, Urmila, that is wife of Lakshmana. And he wrote a big novel on that. He wrote beautifully, because when Rama was given exile, Lakshmana escorted him. And what is about Urmila? She had to stay back. And from her point of view, the entire Ramayana is written. So the point of view in a story can be different. Same characters, but then if you look from the point of view of another character, the entire story will give a different type of shape, different type of an image. What happens if you want to talk about Shanti? We can take inspiration from Buddha, quote from Buddha, his stories like Angulimal. If you want to insist that renunciation is more important, we can give example of Mahavira. If you want to insist that yes, evil has to be fought, we can go to Guru Gobind Singh. So we all have stories all around us, and real life stories, and not just these things. So where does the stories lie? Can we have some inputs? Where does the stories lie? Where do we find stories stored? Can we have some answers? Where do you find the stories?
Answers are just beginning to come in. I wrote
Okay.
everywhere, and Vasudha Rani says in and around us. And Lakshmendra says it comes from ourselves. Anand Iyer says it comes comics. And Jai Anmol says storybooks. And Ram Manohar says everyone's life.
Okay.
And Vinit says in our subconscious. Srinivas says daily life. And imagination is the answer given by Vinod Kumar. And the internet, Marwa's answer. Very close to us, H.N. Singh's answer. Thomas Ayya says in daily life. Arindan Bhattacharya says life itself offers lots of stories. Prabhakar Reddy says history is lots of stories. Ramesh Babu says Betala Katalu is one of the sources. And Devendra Bhandari says from our elders. N.M. Hegde says history. And through observation and reading is Aditya's answer. And here is an answer for Mizwan. Mizwan says a person's life can be a great story about, for example, struggles, triumphs faced in life, and many more answers.
Right. So we are all surrounded by stories. We are lived through stories. We have, as we said, everyone has got a story to tell, and not just one story, but many stories. So stories have been all around us, and really, and now we are getting into the new era where stories are into the movie reels, CDs, pen drives, computers, electronic gadgets, e-libraries. So stories, let's go to the evolution of storytelling. Right from the beginning, so maybe 38,000 BC, we have got some cave paintings or cave carvings available through that age. Then paper was invented and stories were being written on paper. Hitherto, some smritis, one person to person, then on bhojpatras, then on paper, then we had our television. Before television, we had our radio, and now it is World Wide Web. So this evolution we have been witnessing all our lives. So this is again a narration of our this whole setup. Then we got into printing, and once we got into printing, journalism, novels, editing, films, and now we are into an era of digital storytelling, and we don't know what will happen tomorrow. So this is how things have come to us, from cave paintings to our own Ajanta Ellora. Then we have good storytelling through dances, good storytelling through, say, for example, this Mahabalipuram panel. People draw different stories from this particular one panel. Maybe there are more than 24 stories people tell only from this panel. And that's how things have been. Storytelling through puppets has been a very ancient art. Then ventriloquism, and this is again a modern art. And all of us have been through these Panchatatra stories. We have read, our children are reading, our grandchildren will also go through it. And the best part of it is it has all the time given some moral to take home. Again, Tenali Rama or Akbar Birbal ki kahaniyan. Then we moved on to our radio, and we had something like Hawa Mahal. It was not visible, but then the great artists were there who used to, just by their voice modulation, would create that impact. That I still remember a couple of programs in Hawa Mahal. We used to shiver when there was something like a suspense thriller with only voice. So that was the situation. Then we moved on to movies, this audiovisual. Now we are all glued to this, and this has got no limitations. Now, can you name a sequence or a bite from a film or drama or a story narration that you heard from someone that you still remember after years? Any sequence or a bite from any drama, film, or a story narration which you still remember?
I think answers have started coming in, and then BP Marwa says, "Kitne aadmi the?"
Oh, kitne aadmi the?
Ram Manoj says, many others. Anand Iyer says, Gabbar Singh.
Gabbar
Reminds
Singh.
him of the story. And of course, everybody is reminded of Sholay. I don't know why. Vijay Kumar Shetty also Sholay. And Vijay Lakshmi said Sholay. So Sholay became so very popular.
Yeah, so it's around almost for more than 40 years, 4 decades back.
Tera naam kya hai, Basanti? Pushpa, I hate tears. That is Jai Mol's answer.
Okay.
And Y.K. Sharma says again Sholay. Malgudi Days, Babu Kurian's answer. And Prabhakar Reddy says Bobby, the movie. And VP Marwa says Bobby Moshal. And Srinivas Gunta says Sindhuram movie. Zindagi Badi Honi Chahiye is Mizwan's answer. And Shiva Prasad's answer is why Kattappa killed Bahubali?
$1 million question that raised throughout the country for about 1.5 years.
Mogili Thomas Ayya's answer. Tariq pe Tariq is Guru Raj Bahadur's answer. And मेरे पास माँ है यार, that's a lovely one, I remember it, yes. Jawahar Bihari's answer. Satyam Shivam Sundaram, Devendra Bhandari's answer.
Mhm.
आपका नाम क्या है सरदार? आप गोली खाओगे उनकी बारात, etc. etc. Quite a
Mhm.
lot of remember.
Quite a lot of so this what reminds us that a story told in a good fashion, told in an impressive manner, re- relates and resonates in your mind for years and years to come. And that is how things are. There's a wonderful African proverb: until the lion learns how to write, every story will glorify a hunter. This is what is called narration creation. Because the lion cannot write, we don't know how many people, how many times he has hunted and he has become successful and he has been winner. The only time when he was killed, we know, because the killer writes a story, gives us a picture, and that's how we know. So that's the narration created. Whether it is any writer, any stand-up comedian, or even a Picasso or a Shakespeare play, what all they do is they create a narration. So storytelling is just creating a narration. Every story has a narration. Now, when we get into this, storytelling has to grab the attention. Unless it grabs the attention, it doesn't work. So how do you create that attention? You can create suspense. You can surprise the audience with some startling statistics and facts, or you can show them without telling them what you want to do. It has to be interactive. Unless they are involved, we are not able to interact with them, the story will not reach them. So we have to engage them. How do we engage them? Maybe if we know the audience and create a relationship with them, or we have pre-assignments. Pre-assignments are a good tool to build up a relationship with the audience, and that establishes a connection. Once we have got the connection, the wiring is done. It's very easy, because storytelling is something which will develop a visual in their mind. And once that happens, it's wonderful. Storytelling is basically as painting, like an essentially, like in painting a picture. Uh, a famous director, Satyajit Ray, he used to paint his scenes. His scenes he used to first paint and then capture the visualizations. Every movie, most of the 90% of the movies come from popular books. So the stories lead to creation of further presentations or further movies, etc. So stories can pull up memories, and once we tell a story, people start relating their own self, their own past experience, people in their lives with those characters. And that is how imaginative things can work. Why do we tell stories? The basic object of telling stories is to solidify concepts which are very complex, make it very easy. There may be confusing things, but then the moment you create it into a story, it will be easy. For example, our teacher, we had economics teacher, law of diminishing returns. He used to simply say, how do you like the first Rasagulla? Okay, fine. How do you like, what is your experience with the second, third, and the fourth? Says, then the student says, yes, sir, pehle bahut maja aata hai. Then it starts diminishing. That is law of diminishing, yaar. So with practical examples, it becomes very easy for a person to understand concepts which are very complex. What makes a good story? We have to know that. It has to be entertaining. It has to be believable. Sometimes we do tell stories which are not believable, but then we are all not all something like that director Desai, who used to give all kinds of awkward situations, but then still we used to believe. For example, Amitabh Bachchan is shot with a machine gun, and all of a sudden a flag, religious flag, comes in between, and then he is saved. So such things, okay, lot of exaggeration, but then आटे में नमक जितना ही थोड़ा exaggeration होता है, because unless we have everything believable, we may not be credible. It should also have educational value. It should be relatable. People should be able to relate themselves with that story. It should be organized. I will talk about organized stories later. It should be memorable and trendy. Because if we have trending story, people will really get attracted to it and get glued to it. So can you recall a story on hunger? Any story on hunger? Let's be fast. Any story on hunger? I think this will be a bit difficult. Are we getting answers?
Not yet.
Not yet?
I think Prabhakar Reddy has given the name of the film, Akali Rajyam.
Akali Rajyam. Oh,
Jaya Mohan is reminded of Mother India.
oh, Mother India.
Ramesh Babu said, yes is not an answer. You have to name the name,
Okay.
name a story. And then Devendra, I'm sorry, Akali Rajyam again, Devendra Bhandari. Roti Kapda or Makan is the answer from Vinny Vatsava. Akali Rajyam, many others also. Akali Rajyam, Mother India, many others also have their answer.
Right.
And Ashani Sanket by Satyajit Rai, that's Anand Ayer's answer. Distribution of grocery kits during COVID period is Mallikarjun Sarne's live experience at a hunger relief camp of Lions. Mohan Kotla says Mother India again. Movie Parched is the name of the movie. Aditya Deshpande has answered. Two cats and a monkey is a story that Ramakrishna Chiluka is reminded of. Bara, a Kannada movie on drought, Guru Raj Bahadur's movie. His answer.
Right. So when we are talking about, say, for example, if you want to promote the concept of feeding the poor, or having a roti club or something of that sort, these kind of stories which have been heard by us, particularly, for example, this photo which you are seeing, it won a Pulitzer Prize, but then Kevin Carter got a very bad name for this kind of picture, and people questioned him, what did you do when that particular boy was dying of hunger? You could have done something for him. Similarly, Kalahandi and Sir Arthur Cotton in Konesima, there's a great story. The Britishers, this was a British officer, and then what happened to him? Maid asked some 10 to 20 rupees in that particular era to be given as a loan, and his wife asked why. She said, I want to buy a child because I am a childless person. And she said, what nonsense, do you buy a child for 10 or 20 rupees? She said, yes, in Konesima people they are not able to feed their children, so they sell them. And this moved this particular British officer. He saw the situation that lots and lots of Godavari river water is going into the sea, but then people there are not able to even feed themselves. So he created canals and everything, and now that's one of the most wonderful place in Andhra Pradesh. So such kind of stories definitely help us project the kind of topic which we are presenting. Now, elements of storytelling. These are the good elements of storytelling. It has got to have some theme. It has got to have character. It has got to have a point of view, and it moves through a setting. And your style of delivery and choice of words are the main crux of which makes you different from others. जैसे कहा जाता है ना कि गालिब अंदाज गालिब बयां कुछ और था, कहने को कई सुखनविश थे दुनिया में मगर अंदाज बयां गालिब का और था. So the way you tell it is more influential, and that comes through practice. Then there has to be conflict. Without conflict, there is no good story. In fact, the greater is the villain, the greater the rise of a hero. So, for example, everyone was talking about Gabbar Singh, and Gabbar Singh was a most dreadful character built, and that is why these heroes rose, and that story became such powerful. And we have to have a theme. Theme can be love, war, struggle, justice, power, corruption, anything. Theme depends upon the kind of subject here, and then ultimately it should lead to a resolution. Because unless you have got a resolution, what's the fun of telling a story and creating a particular situation? Now, the process of storytelling starts with this, and then once the scene is set, you have to define your core message, then decide what kind of story you are telling. And it should initiate action, engage audience, use tension. The moment they get tensed, yes, they are with you. Tell your story and be creative with chronology. Don't be limited to words. There has to be action. You can get involved you can have a role play. That's also a part of creating a story and telling that story. Then convey values. foster community collaboration, impart knowledge, and you should have your punchline and with a grand finale. Unless there is a grand punchline at the end, uh, वो मजा कुछ और ही होता है when you are able to deliver that. Establish call to action. Call to action has to be, because we are all result oriented persons. We are not just telling story for the sake of telling a story. It's a part of our presentation. So the call to action, what's the next action we expect from our participants? So unless we have got this done, there's no use of our telling a story. Now, these are the top elements of a good story. It has got to be a complex character, which should be the main character. Then transformation, objectives or desire. Either there has to be some great objective or some desire to reach at a particular level. Then there has to be obstacles. That obstacles will create tension, imagery, then emotions. There has to be a hook which keeps everyone hooked to the story, and treasure, the ultimate benefit. Now, story structure has to be in the form. A part of it has to be beginning, a part of it has to be middle, a part of it has to be climax, a part of it has to be, the end. What happens most of the time, we complete these 2-3 elements, and then the end or the theory part of it, we spend more time on that. The better way is the beginning maybe 10% of time, climax 10%, and 10%, and 60 to 70% has to be the middle part of it. Then only the story is very effective. What kind of story you want to tell? It depends whether, so these are all the general, these things, employee, customer related, personal stories. So we'll be mostly interested in personal kind of stories. So what kind of persons, their environment, then think about what you want them to know, feel, and do. What you want them to know first, feel then, and do the result. And that only relates to, now we have got this wonderful picture. Stories get created. This little girl called Leto Kunha from Africa, her mother sent her to buy a piece of loaf of bread. And she was coming home without even shoes in the muddy water. And her uncle saw, and she just asked, and she was so smiley, he clicked that picture. Now this picture became viral. And people started calling the company, the Albana company, that this girl should be your brand ambassador, because such an innocent smile she has. And what happened? This whole event became a story. This girl was picked up as their brand ambassador, and her mother was given a house, and all education till graduation level of this particular girl was borne by this particular company. So story, it can come from any corner, from one music, a picture, or any event. The only thing is we have to be able to look for it. Stories can be twisted. How? We all know this hare and tortoise story, that the hare lost because of his lethargy. So what is the take home from this story? The take home is that slow and steady wins the race. But now I want to twist the story in a different manner. He wins the next race because this time he's not sleeping. He has learned from his previous mistakes. So in our presentation, if you want to insist that a person has to learn from his mistakes and mend himself, we turn this story. The third one, another twist. Now tortoise says, no, Baba, we'll have a different route. And tortoise chooses the route where there is a river in between. Now what happens? The hare is, he cannot swim, so he cannot go further. The tortoise swims and he crosses the river. So choose, work on your strengths. That is the part of it. Now, again, we can twist it in the same thing. Same thing. Now what happens? At the river, the tortoise says, okay, Baba, come right on my back, and we'll both go together. It's a win-win situation for both of us. Then what happens next? Just a moment.
In the meanwhile, if you have any questions to ask, maybe you can post them in the chat box, and then as soon as Manojji returns, he will answer
I'm there.
those
I'm
questions.
there. I'm there. I think the switch got closed. So then we have got no race at all. Why should there be a race between these two gentlemen? They can simply walk together, enjoy together, be friends, enjoy the green grassery, enjoy the nature. And then everyone knows that a tortoise is a different person. He can live longer. Hare is the faster one. So do they need to establish themselves? Then there will be different kind of stories. Individual story, which has to be authentic. Then there could be stories which have been created jointly. For example, in film, it starts from somewhere. People give their inputs. Few things are left over, and then ultimately another final product comes into picture. Then there can be organizational stories. This story can be only statistical or informative. Now, what are the different stages of storytelling? The first is exposition. The second is inciting an incident. So the moment first we start describing about the character, the situation, the atmosphere, then what happens? There has to be some inciting incident that happens, which disturbs this situation. Then naturally, the protagonist has to rise for action. Then there is a crisis. He faces the crisis, wins the crisis, then he gets down, enjoys his success. So as I said, this exposition part has to be got 10%, denouncement again 10%, and another 10%. So this journey between inciting the incident, the rising of action, crisis, and climax has to be the crux. Then only it's very interesting. So what happens sometimes, people finish this chapter maybe in another 2 or 3 minutes, and then for next 5 or 10 minutes, they keep on giving sermons. And that's not a good way of telling story. The learning part has to, it should be self-generated rather than we trying to insist. Now we are again going into a different era now. Now storytelling is getting digital. We are into blogs. We are into social media apps where anyone can write something, create a small story. We are into TikToks where people create stories or humorous situations, and then create their own pictures, their own dramas, their own then TV serials. We have YouTube's, iPod, podcast. Podcast is again a big thing happening. Maybe last couple of years, it has become a craze. People do a lot of good things and also bad things on podcast. Then we have got animation, imagery, games where people get involved. You become the part of that particular game and start enacting. But then again, as everything has a plus or minus point, some of the minor points we have in games is we are able to hear into this news where a lot of online games are leading to a lot of crime. So this is the future, and we have to see that the best utilization is made of our storytelling techniques. So I think I am on time, and this was our session where we try to learn techniques of storytelling, how to write a story, how it influences our brains. So I hope this journey was wonderful and enjoyable, and I have not left anything half cooked, and we have got crisp things to end with. So thank you very much. Let us now have any Q&A question answer session, QA session.
Thank you, Manojji. Thank you very much. That was quite interesting and also very, very useful to the trainers, I believe. I think you've made it quite exhaustive, and you gave lots of insights into this process of storytelling and what happens to a story, how is it developed, how it can be utilized by trainers. So I invite some questions. We have time for some 3 or 4 questions. And in case you would like to ask anything, of course, there is a lot of appreciation pouring in already. Quite a lot of people have said that the presentation is very, very useful and good.
Thank you.
But if you have questions, please post them, or you can even raise your hand. I'll enable you to unmute yourself. One moment, just give me a moment. I'll enable you to unmute yourself so that if you raise your hand, I can unmute you. Please raise your virtual hand. I cannot see your physical hand. Vijay Lakshmi, yes, you can speak. You can ask a question.
Good evening.
Good evening, Vijay.
Here, we have used so many ways of saying, giving a story, but I sometimes feel that, you needn't speak also. The miming also will be helpful, the expressions in which, it can be more interactive. Do you think that it will be right?
Yes, any form of expressing and conveying our idea, our point, what we feel is acceptable. As starting we said, we try to explore what are all the things that can influence and the tools which we can use for effective presentation. So storytelling is just one part of it. So since this was the subject given to me, I was working on that only. But definitely, yes, any type of tool which keeps the person engaged, incites him, and gives the connection is accepted. But then which one to
Anand Kumari, do
use?
you have a question?
But then which one to use at a particular point is your judgment.
Anand
Namaste,
Kumari, if
Ananda.
you have a question, please ask.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please switch off one of the devices. Maybe you have logged in. In the meanwhile, Guru Raj, do you have a question?
Yeah, sir. Yeah. It was very interesting and very different kind of a session today. As we all know, as participants of FDI refresher graduates in Hyderabad, we had a session on storytelling in Hyderabad Novotel, where the focus was focused on storytelling. Now the line Manoj Kumar Purohit, he entirely focused on the other aspects of it, how to prepare for it, how to go about it and all. And it was really interesting, and I compliment him and I compliment you also rather.
Thank you, Guru Raj. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This I never got back to any other preparation I prepared for myself. So,
Anand Kumari, yes, please go ahead. Questions only, please. Yeah.
Yes, sir. You are told that the story, it has to come from the end, the beginning, everywhere. But the story should be given in the beginning or in the middle or at the climax. Where should we introduce a story during a presentation?
Madam, it depends upon the kind of presentation you are making. You should have the judgment of the right time of inciting a story or including a story at the right time, delivering it at the right particular moment. The right time depends upon your own judgment. It can never be in the beginning or end or this. Sometimes you can start with a story to create that attention, or sometimes you can have a story at the end to give the climax feeling. So it depends. Or sometimes in between the session where a complex issue has to be told in an interesting fashion. So it's up to you.
Yeah, never is an unfit time to tell a story, and no object is unfit to be made a story of. Sri Sri in Telugu says, Kukkapilla, Sabubilla, Agipulla, Kadedi, Kavita Kanakram. That means we can write a story or a poem about anything. Shekhar Kovaliji, do you have a question?
Yeah. Whether I am.
You can unmute yourself, Shekharji. We can hear you. Please unmute yourself.
Now, I'm audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. My just opinion is that the storyteller is an actor. He should have that art.
Correct.
Then the storytelling will be the very effective. It's my opinion. I think sir will accept that.
Yes, definitely. Yes, definitely.
Thank you, Shekharji.
Definitely.
So stories are not just told, but are narrated, demonstrated, dramatized, presented,
Yeah.
etc. Mizban, do you have a question?
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here once again. I don't have a question, but I just want to appreciate the organizers. This is my second SkillUP meeting, and I have to say, after the first one, I was really looking forward to joining this meeting, and I'm so glad that I did. I've taken so many valuable points from this meeting. So mine was just to appreciate all of you. I think these are like mini crash courses in your self-development without paying a high, fees. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you,
are
Ms. Gun. I
we are
think
nice
that's a
that
beautiful way of putting it. Many crash courses. I like that. I'll use
Yeah.
it sometime.
she is from Kenya.
Yes. Yeah, Ms. Gun is now in our mailing list, and then I've been sending her the invitation. So anyone else you think is interested in these programs, if you share their mobile number with me, I'll pass on the invitation to them every time. Before I close, I would like to once again make a request to all of you. In case you wish to have your attendance reported to Learn portal, which is extremely useful to you in the long run. So please add your member number. Even now you can do that. You can add your member number to your name. I just would like to make the next announcement. So we have finished 12 episodes so far, and what you see on the screen is the list of the presentations that have already happened. And the next one is going to happen on January 18th. And the presentation will be made by Vijay Kumar Shetty. And the topic is promoting compassion, something that's directly relevant to all of us as Lion members. So that's what we've been doing as Lions, and we are expected to do. I think it would be another very interesting session next fortnight. So I invite Vijay Kumarji to please propose the vote of thanks.